I have one of these again. This one has been provided to me by a friend of mine, so he wants me to take a look at why the output over RF is not 100% fantastic. So I've said I'll have a look. There's no guarantee I'll be able to fix it, but knowing that this era of Philips can have problems with capacitors, that would probably be the first area that I'm going to start. Now, it does work over composite, like the Pi20 VR22 that I've had previously. There is a separate multi-pin AV module, which you need to have special plug-in modules to be able to utilise. It's rather annoying that Philips didn't supply the AV interface as standard on these, but when you actually get inside the machine, you really can see the reason probably why they had to provide it as an extra bolt-on option. They're, how can I put this, they're very busy inside, and there is an awful lot going on, because they were, as you know from some of the previous videos where I've discussed these machines, arguably higher technology than VHS or Betamax. They had obviously dynamic track following. Just realised why that screwdriver wasn't working. I completely forgot they're actually flat blade on these. But they had dynamic track following, or DTF, and DTF basically meant that the heads were mounted on sort of like a piezoelectric servo, and they would move like that to fall in line with video tracks. There are some date markings on this one as well. I'm not sure if it gives us the year or not. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws which you need to undo to get into these. They are flat bladed screws, so I just need to find a suitable flat blade screwdriver. Might actually use one of these smaller ones as they are quite small. Might not want to use one of the smaller ones because they are probably more suited to this screwdriver, so let's see if we can do something with that. And exactly like the pies that I've had before, these screws go all the way through the machine up to this top cover. So all of the top cover items that you need, or all of the screws rather, that you need to remove the top cover, is they're all on the underside of the deck, which is slightly sort of counterintuitive, but when you get used to them, actually makes sense. Yeah, so we'll just get those off, and you'll rejoin me once we are ready to get the top cover off. So we're inside, and as you can see, this pops off at the front. There's a couple of clips. There's one here, and there's one here. So I just need to pop that back into there for when I put it back in again. There's a couple of clips on this cassette tray lid which come out and sort of prise up from the front, so you can prise it up at the front. These locate into the lid itself. You can just sort of prise it off like so, remove that, and then the lid comes up like that. Now, this is what I mean about it being really heavily packed inside. You have got over here power supply section. You've got the various video and servo control boards in this region here, all mounted onto a daughter board. You then have the deck itself, and you have over here a number of boards which look like they are serving the tuner section. So it'd be interesting to see what we actually have as regards those. We'll certainly get inside there in a moment and have a look and see if there's anything we can instantly sort of see that we can actually try to repair. Right, so let's sorry, I'm just trying to snip this back in, so let's pop this back in, see if I can actually get it back in there. There we go. That's better. Right, let's have a look and see what we can do. So you can see here actually come down into where we're going. So you can see here that we have these two boards, and they are mounted into the bottom of the machine there. The RF output cans are here, and those actually link into an RF output can down there. So it might not actually be these ones that I need to concern myself with, it may be the cans themselves. So in a moment we'll actually see if we can actually release those RF cans and see what we can do with them. So that's going to be held in on this back panel here, and there is, I think there's a screw here, sort of basically over this end of the machine, which you can't see. So over here at the back, and there's one there. Right, let's get this around, like so, and let's see if there is anything we can do. So that would remove this sort of almost heatsink assembly on the back there. The actual cans themselves, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not convinced they're the issue, but I'm willing to, you know, willing to sort of think that they could be a problem. Let's have a look and see what goes where. So we've got the remote control here. These two boards, not actually sure. Actually, there's three boards there. There's one there. There is. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. You're not seeing what I'm looking at. There's 1, 2, 3 boards here. So let's see what these ones are. So they're held in with these little clips down the bottom, which you sort of have to gently prise back, and then once they're out of the way you can pull the boards upwards. It was done in this way for servicing, so that you could come along to one of these machines that had failed and literally just pop out a board wholesale. You didn't have to worry about you know, sort of troubleshooting the issue on the board itself. Unfortunately, because the days of being able to work on these and just swap out boards is long gone, we're going to have to see if we can get into there in a different way, and these are not very easy to get to, and I don't know if it's the RF cans or not. Now, looking at the wiring here, I'm actually not sure what these two are doing. Well, these three rather. So we need to park those for a second. Let's see if we can get into the RF cans. This here, not sure if you can see that. Yes, you can. This here is the AV port I was on about, and that's the one that needs the various connectors to be able to get connected with. So let's see what we can do, see if we can actually get into there and try and do something with it. Right, so I'll remove this screw here. This will actually at least remove this heatsink. So this is this whole metal back panel by the looks of it. There's a screw there that holds it in at that end, and there's going to be a couple over here, I think. So there's one there. Probably best if I turn it round this way. I can actually see what's going on now. There we go. So there's one here, and there's one down here. There we go. So that's a couple of little screws there. So that's still holding fast. Let's see. So there is a clip here that I would need to remove. So there's a little assembly there which I can clip out the way. That's just a little wiring conduit. So that might actually prise off on this end. There's another one here that holds a board on the back here. So that's locating this circuit board on the rear here. Not sure what that board is doing. We will soon find out though. But let's have a look and see if we can gently prise these out. So, start with this one here. I don't think there's anything I can do with that one. No, I can't get that out. They are actually quite into there. Because the thing is, I need to be able to get this out, or the cans themselves are down here, so they're mounted onto this really big baseboard, as you can see there. Let's move that out of the way. So the RF cans are actually soldered directly onto here. Yeah, so sort of this area here. I'm still not convinced they're the problem, but I don't know. I just don't know. That's the problem, and why I don't like these machines very much. They're fantastic quality. I mean, they really are brilliant machines, but they are just so complex. And you really cannot sort of try and determine where the problem is. They're quite difficult to work on. Let's see what I can do with this. I'll just pop this up here. And I'll see what I can do. So I'm wondering if you remove these screws. No, because there's screws on the other side as well. How difficult. So that's your power supply module there with these rather big lumpy capacitors. They're huge. 15,000 microfarads. That is mad. This is the problem. These RF cans are hard soldered onto the board. And the thing is, it works over AV. It works absolutely fine over this AV aux socket. And yeah, it's a tricky one. Because do I troubleshoot the issue with the RF, or do I try and make up some kind of cable for the AV socket plug? But the thing is, the AV socket goes into a separate box. I mean, it's quite possible that there is additional circuitry within that box that this actually needs in order to work. So this is where the confusion comes in. I'm just not really sure where to turn with it. Right, let me see if I can get a pin out for this interface. So I've done a bit of research, and this, as I said earlier, it does plug into an external box. You can get the pin outs for each of these pins, but the external box has actually got additional logic in it, which provides obviously a 5-pin audio connector and a composite video connector, but there are a number of ICs, resistors and capacitors in the way, as you would expect. I mean, this literally just is straight off the board, AV out. So there's nothing I can do short of actually having the box there's nothing I can actually do to try and test if that works. So we're back to looking at this at the RF side of things, and the RF cans, looking at it, go into this board here, so they actually channel into this little board here. So I'm actually going to see if I can pop this board out in any way and see if there is anything obviously wrong with this one. That's proven to be easier said than done. Let's see. Now this is where you would need a circuit diagram. I do have one somewhere, but I'm seeing if I can do this without having to get the whole thing out yet. So we'll just try and release this cabling that just happens to be in the way. There we go, so let's move that out. Let's move that out of the way. And there we are. There's this arrangement here, which I'm not quite sure how that goes in. It does actually clip into this board. That is a backup battery, and that does look like it's been replaced fairly recently, so that is a fairly new addition. So we've got RF cans, and these look like the signal wires that come. Yeah, they're definitely going into this board that I was looking at. So this one here, basically, that seems the most logical place to start, because that is obviously going to be an output board. Aha! So they just prise upwards like that. Now let's see if I can work out how to release this from the clutches of this machine. Actually see if there's any obvious electrolytics on them. You've got these big things here, which I think these are capacitors, but they're specific to sort of Philips and Continental equipment. They're not sort of standard electrolytic designs. Blimey. Does it just plug in? Can you just pull it out? So I don't want to force it, just in case you shouldn't actually be pulling them. Let's have a look. Let's take the glasses off and actually get a better view of what's going on. Yeah, so they go into a socket right down the bottom. So there's a big socket on the daughter board, sorry, on the motherboard at the bottom. And you've got these little daughter boards slipping out the top. Because one thing I would actually try is giving those contacts a bit of a blast with some contact cleaner. So I actually tried that before going into the whole component replacement spiral. But the question is, how does one actually get the board out of the machine? And that is the question. That is the question. Looking at it, there's an empty module over here. They do clip in down the bottom, so there is some kind of clip mechanism. But I'm actually wondering if you can drop the whole lot outwards, because that would make my life unbelievably much easier. Let's go for it. Let's undo. No, that's... I don't really want to undo that. That's potentially losing something. Let's see what that does. So it's certainly loosening something in there. Again, I don't know what it's loosening. I should really consult the service manual before doing this, but I'm an idiot, so I'm not going to. And I'm just seeing if actually removing those has the desired effect of allowing this whole board to be lowered. And the immediate answer is no. No, it does not. So let's put those back in again, because we'll just get lost otherwise. Yeah. They're not really built with user serviceability in mind, are they? Or were they, rather? They really weren't. Absolutely astounding. Incredible. Very much a machine that you just hoped would never go wrong, because if it did, you did not want to have to be servicing the darn thing. And that one's not going back in anymore. I'll have to try and somehow sort that out. Let's see if I can get this one in the middle. Yeah, that one's okay. I think these are wiring clamps. Looking at the wiring that's running around in there, and the fact that, yeah, these are wiring clamps. These screws serve no other purpose than to clamp the main loom of the machine to this sort of base area so that it doesn't move around too much. I'll try that top one again, because it's a bit more pliant than the other ones. So yeah, there it is. And there it is. There, look at that. That's the, sorry you can't see that, but that is the remote control port on the back, and it wobbles around at the moment because I've literally just removed the single screw that holds it in place. So those little 3 screws on the bottom, they don't hold this to the machine in any way whatsoever. They are just for clamping wiring and holding this in place. And if you do that and then do this, it's back in place again, and then that's solid. Still doesn't address how I remove that board. So if we come back here again, the RF cans definitely do seem to go into this single board here, but the question is, how do I get that board out of the machine? So there's a couple of tags on here which you might be able to push to loosen whilst you're pulling on the board, so I could try that actually. So if I've got the board here, and if I try applying pressure whilst loosening those, no, it doesn't make a difference, unfortunately. So I'm not convinced those are holding that in place. Let's come around again and back down. If in doubt, get a torch. So let's go and fetch a torch. So this gives us a bit of a better idea, and as I suspected, it is held in with those plastic clamps down at the bottom. There's one on this side, one on this side. So if I arrange this like so, so it's casting some light over the general area. If I get a flat blade screwdriver and come down in here, prise that back, and the board moves, look at that. Then come over here, again, a bit of light on the situation, come down and move back, move that out of the way, and out it comes. So this is the board that I want to concern myself with, and those are the contacts on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is have a look. Yeah, tuner. So that's the tuner board. So I'm going to have a look at this for dry joints, and also see if there is anything else we can do with it. I'm also going to go down into the bottom of there with some contact cleaner, so I'll actually get the illumination over there now. So go right down into the bottom there with some contact cleaner, and really give it a good sort of bit of a spray up in there. So we'll actually have a look at this board for dry joints, but I think there's a dry joint there already. No, that actually looks okay. Yeah, a bit ropey. But what is really amusing is that looks really it looks really like it's been done in the back of someone's shed. It looks sort of almost handmade, the actual sort of board itself. It's not sort of like have I got an example somewhere? I think I do, yes I do, there's one. So it's not like, say, for example, this JVC board here, which has been sort of produced in a mass-produced environment. That's the board there. It looks very 70s circuit board, and like it's been sort of done in sort of the etching station in the back of someone's shed. But there is sort of like an aesthetic beauty about it, and it is actually really quite simple to see where everything goes, as opposed to the JVC board here, which is a clock display, funnily enough, from a 3V31 HR7650, so on and so forth, ITT892 something or other. Yeah, there is sort of like a nice sort of simplicity to it as well, which is quite pleasant. So yeah, we're going to have a look at that one, see if there is anything we can do on there. But as I said, first off, we're going to get down into there with the, not the Video 40, but to use the Servicol Super 10 switch cleaning lubricant. So that should hopefully do something. Just put a little pipette pipe thing onto it. Right, there we go. And the next one is I want to take a look at this, see if there's anything I can measure out on here. So this is, there's not really, I've got to be honest, there's not really a huge amount on there to go wrong. I suppose it's possible one of these transistors has failed. I'm sort of more inclined to wonder if it is quite literally a contact issue, because these contacts are quite dirty, a bit greasy as well. So let's spray those down. Give them a bit of a general clean up. There's definitely some grubbiness on that. There we go. And that's looking better. Got a sanding block here, so these a bit of a brighten up as well. Okay, that's certainly put a bit of a shine back onto those. Just do a general cursory glance at the rest of the board. There's a bit of, that looks a bit manky there, which is from there, something going on there. Let's try and clean that up a little bit. Yeah, so let's give it a bit of a clean up as well of some other stuff. I would if I could find it. I don't know where that's gone now. What on earth did I put? There's some hiding down there. There we are, so that's a bit of video head cleaner on that. It's basically isopropyl alcohol, so I'll just give that a clean like so. And because that board is easy enough to get to, now that we know how to get to it, let's give everything a bit of a clean up and actually stick this back into the machine. Now this electrolytic, I don't know if that's an electrolytic capacitor or not. It's one of those weird horizontal ones. It is handed because there is a minus and plus sign on it. I would probably need to take that out of circuit to measure it, but let's see if the probe gives us anything at all, any measurements on it. Now these swappable boards are nice in a way, but they're also quite limiting, because if you want to test something whilst the unit's running, you can't, because the whole sort of idea of this was that you removed a board and you replaced it, and that's how you would basically fault find with these decks. And it makes, when it comes to sort of now, and you're trying to repair this without, yeah, I don't think that's giving us any real figures, and you're trying to repair this without having spare boards, it makes things very, very difficult. It's not an easy case of just popping something out and hoping for the best, and then, well, popping something out, testing it, and then checking to see if that's fixed the issue. It's very difficult to troubleshoot on these. A lot of it is going to have to be guesswork, but sorting and dealing with the basics first, like dry joints and dodgy electrolytics, is probably a good way to go to start with. Now, just noticed there's a bit of problem, so I'll just clean that up. I think the joints are okay. Let's try and put this back in. See if there is something we can do. So we'll just drop this one down. And there we go. Clip. Clip. There we go, that actually clips back into place quite nicely. Okay, haven't really done much, quite literally just cleaned the base socket on this baseboard. One thing I do need to do is put various screws back into the back of here, because I took them out and I didn't need to. So that's into the back of the heatsink assembly. So that'll be one there on this power supply board. I need to re-centre that slightly. There we go, so that's that one. There's a little one, oops, sorry, come down. There's a little one down the bottom there. There we go. Then over this side, can't really see that, but I'm screwing this one back down here. And we're back in place. Right, let's get this set up and tested, see if it's made a difference. So, at the moment I have this in play mode, which means it's going to try and output a test signal. So it's currently connected over RF. Let's choose a channel. What I want to do, let's do auto tuning. And that does seem to be finding something. That, I think, is the test signal for this VCR. There we go, so let's store that. I've just realised that's really quite flickery. Let me just adjust the shutter speed. So 1/60th, 1/50th should do it. although it seems better on 1/30th. Let's see what that's like. So it's quite noisy over that. Anyway, let's hit stop and let's eject. And I think I've got a cassette that I can use for testing. Well, it should be better if I try and tune it. Whilst, okay, that doesn't sound brilliant. Ooh, okay, that's not great. And it's just powered itself down. Okay, let's try fast forward and play. Right, there we are. That's still trying to find a signal. Blimey, that just whites it out. Let's see if I can... No, that's the... Oh, hang on. No, that doesn't do anything. Whoa, that's way too much. Though, hang on, I was actually finding something. Let's go to auto on the white balance. The white balance is way off on that. Oh, hello. Alright, let's store. No, don't go forward. You had it. Old television. Right, bear with me whilst I tune in this television. Okay, so it might be just the tape that I'm trying to play back with, but that picture is looking okay, to be honest with you. It's not too bad. I have to bump the volume right up though. And that is quite possibly my imagination, unbidden, possessed and guided me. That's quite possibly due to the tape itself, so I will need to try a different tape. But that's over RF, and it is looking... It's not looking too bad, to be honest. It's all right. It's not perfect, but it's an old machine, you know. So, ooh, whoopsie. Okay, that's horrible. Yeah, I do wonder if that is quite literally just the either the recording, or it could even be this set, to be honest with you. Although it was fine over some of the other machines I've been using. Right, let me try another cassette. So I've tried it with another cassette and no improvement. There's still not really any sound. So yeah, I'm wondering if there's still a problem with the board itself. The owner of the deck told me it was fine over composite when he purchased it from the person he purchased it from. So let's get the board out again, see if there's anything else I can do. I honestly didn't think that would work. There was a little pot there, on this board, which I tweaked slightly in that direction, and that's the end result. That seems to actually be working. Let me see if I can fine tune it a little bit. Yeah, that's looking okay. I'd say that's quite acceptable. Certainly watchable. Let's try pause. Yeah, your typical V2000 pause. It's gone black and white now, but yeah, that does work. Go back to play again. But working well. So I've had a bit of a bad run recently with trying to get things working, especially with the Panasonic and the Baird 8940. So it's actually quite nice to have a fairly easy win out of this one. It's still not perfect. There is a bit of, sorry, I've gone a bit too high on the ISO. There is a bit of sort of flickering up here, but it's an old machine, and to be honest, you would probably want to be looking at reconditioning the board in its entirety. But it's acceptable, and hopefully that will be the issue resolved for the person that owns the deck. Anyway, that's it for now. That's another V2000. Nice to get my hands on one again. If you have found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.